Okay, you are now officially notified that I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:58, early. I love it. For the first time ever. You're all great. So purpose of tonight's meeting is to do, we're going to skip the prior, I'm calling the meeting to order. We're going to skip the prior minutes and we'll go right into the conversation. Just as a backup position, we haven't met in a while and there's been a lot of stuff going on about how we meet, should we meet, where, and all that kind of stuff. So the purpose of today's meeting is really to just pull a lot of ideas together, see what needs to happen going forward and what we need to do. So the first start is really to discuss what's going on and what kind of thoughts and with the issue of the coronavirus, as that's a driving force in whether we meet in person or not in person. So I took the liberty of inviting Mac to join our meeting since he's head of public health and safety. And
thanks for having me. And
Penny was supposed to come, but she was not available. So she whispered in Mac's ear to say, this is what she thinks. So we were going to have her opinion also coming through Mac's voice. You'll just get a whole different sense.
At least it wasn't going to be another potential spam email. When I first saw the Penny, I thought, oh, geez, there's another email. Because there was a spamming over the weekend that I don't know if you guys got, that was from Penny's email from 6 months ago.
But I got one from my email to Monica and Jamie.
Yeah, and I got that one too.
Did you really? But Mark, you didn't get anything? Well, maybe your systems probably cut it out.
Yeah, maybe. Let me look. I don't think so.
Check your spam folder. But what I did do, so I drafted the thing for Seth, which he put out to everybody. So everybody were like, don't open this. The forward link. And then I work with Jeff Adams a bit, but since everybody's been very diligently deleting all those emails, we don't have a whole lot to work with. But I did have the conversation with Jeff and I said that it really came originally, in my view, it came originally through the Darien system. Now it can't go back to the Darien system, the DarienCT.gov. But the fact that it could research and pull information to begin with, so I haven't talked to him again, but if it's slowed down and quieted down and we don't have any more coming in, then, I don't know. So different people got it.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, not everybody got it. I don't know. Anyway, but that is as far as we're going with it. If anybody gets any that looks, check your spam, but send a copy, take a snapshot of it or a screen print or something and let us know and I'll send it on to Jeff. But other than that, delete it. I just got.
Here's my question. How far back? What was it? Did it appear to be the full RTM that got it?
I have no idea.
It looked like this committee. It looked like something generated for the original one from that had Penny's name on. I think was about this committee. I sent it to because I think I sent it to Lois to you to say, did you get this?
I didn't get the one you got. I got a different one.
Oh, okay.
Well, only reason I'm asking is because if I'm not on it, it suggests it's an email group that has my old RTM address. Sometimes there's folks that have my old one. That's all.
Mac, did you got it though, Mac, didn't you?
I'm kind of blanking out what it was, but it was something that I believe it was, you're right, it was a very small group. It could have been just everybody in this group, but I was included in it. But it had something to do that it's something that came from Penny.
So I don't know, Patty knew somebody that did it and that wouldn't have been this group because she wouldn't have been all about it if it was that. So I don't know if anybody sees it. Snapshots obviously don't link to it and then delete. And what I did find out is that they save on the DarienCT.gov all the emails that go through that. The problematic one never got into the system. If I tried to send it back to Krista, it wouldn't go back. So they could figure out that it was spam that way, but it had to come initially to us that way. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know, but Jeff is on it if we find anything, and he can research all the way back to their emails. So I thought that was really interesting. But it was pretty much of a shock and pretty scary. So then I got another one today from this has nothing to do with the RTM, but from
Just remember
somebody.
your recording.
I know it's not a problem. I just want to say that there's those crazy ones like, can you help me out and get an iTunes card for me to get to my niece, kind of thing. It really took me aback because it was very well done. I didn't do it, fortunately. So, but anyway, so we need to be on our toes. So that's the story with the email. So let's talk about coronavirus and different things that are going on and what we're hearing. Mac, do you want to? You've had several conversations with David Knopf.
Sure. I worked with with my wife, but we volunteered last 3 or 4 weekends backing out Thanksgiving weekend, but we helped with the vaccine for the children at the high school, and it was really great to see that. But David and I talked a little bit at that time, going back 2 or 3 weeks. He expressed he's very comfortable with using town hall to have in-person meetings, and I explained to him that you all had looked at the auditorium. It kind of mapped out the idea that you can easily socially distance, meaning 6 feet apart, by blocking rows, making everybody sit at least one empty seat between each other 2 seats. But anyway, it seemed like it would work. But David seemed very comfortable with that. Now, that being said, this latest Omicron virus is moving very fast, and it may be a different conversation about whether he would be comfortable having public meetings at town hall going forward. I just don't know. But from a physical standpoint, he was very comfortable saying that the RTM could be in the auditorium with the size of the room, high ceilings, plenty of air movement, that kind of thing.
I just want to add, I saw something last night. There was a video of one of the churches, and I was shocked to see that nobody was wearing masks and everybody was singing. So that got me really nervous because that's local, and all you need is a couple of people getting this new virus, and it spreads easily. That really took me aback, but we'll see what the numbers look like after Christmas, because obviously people are getting together.
Right.
Well,
I mean, the
we have a
best
big
I
group.
can tell is that this virus, while it spreads very easily, for people that are fully vaccinated, the symptoms are very, very, I use the word minor. I mean, it's on the aspects of having a cold. People are getting a sore throat, their nose is running, that kind of thing. It's people aren't being hospitalized. At least that's what David told me in our town. We just don't have hospitalizations right now, and we don't have certainly people passing away or dying.
I want to add
The bigger problem we have
Lois's
is
observation.
technically how we do it.
Oh, wait, before I think Mark was going to make a statement. Mark, did you?
No, I just want to make the casual observation that you observed. I'm observing people in restaurants, in bars, in stores sometimes, but certainly bars and restaurants, and games, sporting events, locally and nationally, not wearing masks. So it's not just limited to churches. It's.
Oh, yeah. I didn't mean that as
Okay.
No. I didn't mean it just churches. I was surprised. I mean, I know people are going to games, but I was just surprised in that environment to really see, especially when people were singing, which is one of the ways that spreads a lot of the air movement.
Well, but if everyone who's in that church has been documented that they're fully vaccinated, that's I mean, I'm taking people at their word, but you would hope that everyone there has been vaccinated. You're shaking your head, Lois. You don't think so?
I don't know. I don't know if there was a requirement, if anybody asked, if anybody cared. That's a good point, Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know that. I'm not going to pursue it. It just surprised me. I didn't get a sense people were being super cautious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my observation. Mike, you were going to say something?
The bigger challenge is how technically we do it, and we've got to go over with you guys the only logical way short of spending money to do the audio system there so we could do a hybrid meeting. Lois and I figured out a jury-rigged way to do it that it could be done, but it would be jury-rigged.
So before we do that, I'd love to go over, I did an initial call to Greenwich today to find out what they were doing, and I'm going to get a call back tomorrow because the person I really needed to talk to wasn't available today. But what I found out is that Greenwich has 230 people in their RTM, and they've been doing hybrid, but I can't figure out how it's really working. I know their hybrid is using Zoom webinar, Mike. So I don't think that allows a lot of access. But they're voting by using a tabulator, and the person I spoke to was really concerned because another piece that was really interesting is they have 12 districts, but the districts stay, and if the population moves, they change the number of people in each district. So one district can have 10 people, another district can have 30 people, which is really hard to balance how you effectively make them work since you still only have one district chair. But I thought it was really interesting to know that's what we do that they do, as opposed to us who keep 6 districts and keep moving people around in districts to keep the districts on a balanced basis. I will find out more about how they voted. But one of the comments was that I think, first of all, when they vote normally before this all, they have a piece of paper that has everybody's name on it. And I guess they sit together in the location and they pass the paper and everybody records their votes and it gets sent back to the district chair. So we stand up, but get recorded. They actually pass the paper around. And this for the virtual, they were sending in their votes, and I'm not quite sure how that was done. I'll find out. And then those were recorded, but somebody actually recorded them incorrectly and created a whole stir among the thing. And so I will get more of the insight on what they're doing and how it's working. But and they also, Mike, they also are using Channel 79. So I'm really curious, unless they've gotten this kind of equipment that you've talked about, to be able to integrate what they're doing. And Mike has made the point several times, excuse me, that the DCA has it all working and that they're trying to work in room 206. Mike, do you want to update?
Well, the DCA and the DMA and the Dairy and Men's Association spent through all last summer upgrading the equipment in their main rooms so that we could do hybrid meetings, and it's worked perfectly. We've had speakers from all over the world. The people on Zoom can hear and ask questions, and so it's worked flawlessly. We can do the same thing in the auditorium at Town Hall. We just require some money to wire the public address system so you don't get feedback when anyone on Zoom asks a question. There's bad feedback from the microphone system, which they hired a consultant and figured out how to do it and fixed it. The Board of Finance was going to try to do a hybrid meeting tomorrow night for their meeting in 206, but they have postponed it till their next meeting because there were I went to the rehearsal and there were some technical glitches that they wanted to make sure it wouldn't happen when they had the meeting. So they postponed at least till the next meeting when they're going to do their meeting hybrid. There's no PA system in 206, so that wiring is an issue, but essentially they have to take a computer and put it in the back of the room and point the camera at the dais so people who are calling in virtually can see the people who are sitting on the dais. If the people on the Zoom or on the however they're doing it remotely, do their pictures up on that TV screen when they ask a question or anything, or not? That would be the Zoom, but there's no camera. Yeah, people within Zoom would be able to see the Zoom, but the people on the dais would not be able to see the people on Zoom. And the presenter, if there are any presenters, they can't present from the audience, because no one from Zoom can see them or would be seeing their back. So they have to go sit up on the dais, and 2 members of the Board of Finance have to go into the audience so that people on Zoom can, with a camera, a Logitech camera on a computer, can see the dais. So you're trying to work it through.
The person from Greenwich said that the people that were calling in from the remote were up on a big screen.
Yeah,
In
that's the way we do it at DCM.
DCM.
Everybody's up on a big screen, right?
And how do you know that somebody once asked a question when you're doing the DCA?
They use the thing in Zoom where they raise their hand.
Okay.
And so I run it, so I see the list of everybody who has their hand raised, and we just call on them and alternate between there and the people in the audience who we have two mics going back and forth, and they stand in a certain place so that people on Zoom can see the person asking the question in the DCA.
And that's what I think the Board of Ed does also, right?
Yeah,
Because
the Board of Education has done a very nice job.
Yeah.
It can be done. It just costs money. But when Lois and I were testing this, the only way that we came up with there is, and you're welcome if you to not only double check but see what you get. There is a 1.5 to 1:45 delay if you're watching the live feed on YouTube or Facebook. So the only way that Lois and I came up with doing it in the auditorium is the person at home would have to be watching TD 79 on cable, on Altice, where there is no delay. And then we had to check with Wayne on the legalities. They could text their vote to their district chair, and they could text any question or comment they had to the clerk that could be read to the room. But that's the only way we.
Like, did you say over a minute delay?
A minute and a half to 1:47 seconds delay to get to YouTube from the live feed. Get to YouTube and get to Facebook. So anyone who wanted to do it from home would have to could not have cut the cord. They would need TV 79.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've heard you describe this at least a couple of times now. I'm struggling with why Zoom doesn't work. With maybe two Logitech cameras, one on the dais and one on the audience.
It's the audio feedback. You have to cut out the audio system out of Zoom. For instance, I run the Zoom feed from the DCA, and I can't have my microphone on or speaker on my computer on, or it would cause feedback in the system.
I understand.
And then, and if they didn't have that hookup for the audio system, anyone on Zoom asking a question would get the same feedback because they'd be listening to the PA system, but they'd be asking the question on Zoom, which would create the audio feedback.
I got it. So it's an audio issue. It's pure audio.
It's an audio issue. Yeah.
Mike, at my office at Morgan Stanley, we often have Zoom calls with over 100 people on it. And what we do is we don't use the computer audio. We dial in. So we still have the video on a screen, but we dial in on either your cell phone or your landline phone. And that seems to help with the audio.
Do you dial into a separate conferencing system?
Yes.
Yes.
It's you dial to an 800 number with a passcode, and then you get put in the queue.
That's because you're not using the Zoom system, which causes the feedback.
Right.
Yeah. So that
do anything?
That in theory would work. Now the challenge with that, Krista and I spent about an hour with the customer support people at GoToMeeting, and their system doesn't track anyone who dials in on the phone. You get they show up that they registered, but you have no record if they actually called in or if they listened to the call. Like we tested with Barbara, who called in on the last meeting, and she didn't show up anywhere other than she registered, but she heard the whole meeting. So that's one of the problems they have. So we could look at integrating a separate conferencing system in we have to think of, you know, how we'd run it, how Krista would run it, or not Krista, Kate would run it and unmute people on a conferencing system. I haven't made a conference call on, you know, one of those 1-800 conferences in years. It's almost like I have to remember. Do all of you keep your mics open, or only when you speak?
Only when
Only
you
when I
speak, you have to hit *6, I believe, and that unmutes yourself.
Yeah, that's what we used to.
The other thing that I do want to mention that was interesting, when Greenwich had their last meeting in December, and it turns out they've had an RTM moderator for 26 years, the same moderator, and he just finished.
Yeah, he just retired.
But they did the hybrid approach. They only had 20 or 30 people out of the 230 that showed up for the live meeting. So that's a big statement. I have no idea. I mean, one of the ideas is, do we do some sort of survey to see, you know, in theory, if people were given the option of they could do it either way, would they even show up? You know, because I know some people really want to go back and do it in person. But if a lot of people are given the choice and they don't, and they won't, then you know, why are we bothering? You know, we can do it the way
That's a fair question.
What, you know, I was surprised by that number, and I'll double back on that number tomorrow when I talk to the other person, when she gives me a call. But, you know, it didn't occur to me because, of course, some of the people I know are very strong about going back in. But if, you know, and the person said, you know, like, people like being at home, they can do other things, they can do whatever. You know, you can't control their behavior. And if we wanted to do a poll, we'd have to ask the questions very carefully, not theoretically, but give them options. And I've been noodling some stuff around in my head that if we want to do that, and that, you know, I'm thinking that discussion of whether we should poll people would come out of the rules meeting on January 10th. And I'm sort of getting the sense from concerns for coronavirus and some of the technology that, you know, rules, we might do a virtual in January and plan for February. I'd be surprised if we just drop it off for January, but you know, rules can decide what we really want to do. I mean, I don't see any point in trying to do a quick and dirty survey between now and January 10th. I think people's heads are somewhere else.
I'd be surprised if it would be surprising if the appetite among the whole RTM is much different than the appetite among the rules committee.
For
a hybrid.
Meaning they would want the hybrid or not?
Not.
What do you think they would want? Keep virtual?
They would not want, they would not be interested in a hybrid meeting yet.
And you think they want?
Well, I think people will be interested in a hybrid if that means you don't have to go. Yeah, hybrid, nobody's going to oppose a hybrid.
Yeah, that no one's interested in the in-person. There wasn't a lot of interest.
I agree with that.
I
agree with that. I don't think there's a lot of interest in an in-person meeting. I really don't.
I don't think there's I don't think there's a big interest in it.
Oh, okay.
But we'll find out.
Yeah, that's the sense I have too.
I don't know how you make the decision if there are 10 people who say, I'm not going to come, and if I have to come, I have to resign from the RTM. What are you going to do? You know, if we can't do a hybrid, what are you going to do?
So then it sounds like we should, well, and the other issue with the hybrid is, are we just trying to do a hybrid through April? And then, because the current rules by the governor, as I understand them, are up in April. And that was done for the budget voting purposes. But whether it gets extended, you know, because part of that thing was to say that you could vote electronically. And if that doesn't get extended in April, then we're forced to go back and do an in-person meeting. But so the part of this hybrid thing is, do we push it and get it working in March or April, when it may all go away? I don't know. I'm sort of thinking that it would be good to have anyway, but Mike, did you get any sense from Kate today whether there was any interest in trying to spend some money and getting all this stuff working just to go on a go forward basis, or is it preliminary?
No, I didn't ask if they were looking at doing the auditorium. They're just trying to get 206 working.
Okay.
And Jen actually has to run the meeting. She's the Kate for the Board of Finance meeting. Yeah, but again, I'm thinking through that conference call of how you guys do the conference call. You can see everybody on Zoom, but you don't use your audio system. But if you're only on your phone, you're in Zoom and you're on a conference and you've dialed into a conference number.
Right, you're actually the sound quality is synced. So I mean when you're listening, I'll use my speaker on my phone, and when I'm looking at somebody talking and I see their audio, I mean it's pretty close to there might be a slight delay, but it's pretty darn close.
But are you on your computer with?
Yes.
Yeah. And
In other words, like right, the way we are right now,
yeah,
looking at each other. If I was sitting, if I had my phone next to me, I'd be hearing that you're speaking. It would be coming from my telephone.
Yeah.
But I'd still see you.
And I don't know what I haven't looked at what the stats were, what the current stats are, but a large number of the RTM members call in on their iPhone or their iPad, which would not give them that device. Give them that if they call in on their iPhone, they couldn't be making a phone call to an 800 number.
Right. Right.
And they'd have to learn how to do it or remember how they used to do it.
So it sounds like to me, if we actually do a survey, it would be useful to find out what kind of equipment people have. So we're not guessing. Do people have both a computer and a phone, or they just have
Right.
one?
To go down the road to check on this conferencing system, do they have both a computer and a phone?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, do you do similar things in your office?
We do. Although we can use the audio, if you want to minimize the feedback, most of us use the phone. We use WebEx, and it's integrated. You have a phone number, or you can use the live stream audio.
So you're using both the computer and a phone as part of the way you're doing it?
You don't have to, but most people do. There's a lag. There's a lag on the audio. The audio and the people's lips on the video are not in sync unless you do the phone. I don't know, Pat Mac, if you observe that. Well, if you're using the phone, you wouldn't have that issue. But
yeah, well, we basically get our wrists slapped if we try to use the audio on the computer, because it's clear that the audio is bad. So we're constantly reminded to dial in.
Yeah, we are too.
Because you get feedback when you
strong
talk.
preference.
Yeah.
Now, are you using WebEx?
We use both.
Yeah.
I'd say it's mostly Zoom.
Yeah. Okay.
And Mac, how do you indicate that you want to say something? Do you get called on? Do you raise your hand in the Zoom meeting and then they call you? Okay,
Yeah.
That's what Mike was talking about. Okay.
That's what we do too. So depending on the size of the meeting, if it's a big one, you have to raise your hand or send a chat. There's a chat, and you'll be taken off mute. If it's a relatively small one, we have our own controls, just like here.
Okay. So as a to be done kind of concept, I mean, I will follow up with Greenwich and let you know what I learn. I think from a health standpoint, it's a wait and see. I would be interested in thoughts on doing a survey. So I don't know if you want to talk about that some more, so we could propose it to the, let the Rules Committee consider that. I mean, I certainly don't think we should do it before then. And then Mike, if you want to do some more research. So I think the health stuff is straight, let's see. The Greenwich stuff is, I'll let you know. The survey, I don't know if you want to put some discussion to that, or just do that the week before in January to see, or just wait to see if people are interested and then take a shot. I'd love some feedback on that.
I think you should do the survey after New Year's is my take.
Yeah, I'll put together some questions and
Okay.
that you got that send around that you can edit off SurveyMonkey. But
Okay.
would you be interested? Do you have this equipment? If it was only in person, you can edit out any of the questions. But I don't know if we want, I don't know if the rules committee, I can't imagine that they would vote that the meetings, at some point, the state's going to control the meetings will be held only in person. Although I don't know, they may allow hybrid and whether they apply hybrid, we'll find out in May what happens.
So I think that if we can have sort of a draft of a questionnaire that gets circulated, Mike, you'll start and get circulated among us, we can present it at the rules meeting.
There were 3 members of the Board of Finance at this rehearsal, and there was a definite sentiment that they want hybrid to continue, beyond when they're all back, but the ability to bring in experts, bring in bankers, bring in whatever, on a hybrid system that they can more effectively do their job.
But for voting, I still think, in the long run, well, we don't know what's going to happen for voting. They may have to be there for voting. They may not be allowed to. But the idea, you still want the ability to do it by bringing in experts or other people to assist in what you're doing. So that's an interesting, even if the members of the committee can't do it because of voting, they still want that option to help the work that they're doing. So that's cool.
I got a text that the governor was having a news conference today, but I was tied up and I don't know what he said.
I think the gist of what he was talking about was the vaccine. Basically you have the proof of your vaccine on your phone. They're rolling out that. I think that's what he was going to be talking about. He probably talked about the increasing numbers as well.
So those are the fourth piece is, what do we say, report on, what do we do about hybrid? Because we should, at the rules meeting, talk about where are we with hybrid, just so everybody has a status. Is there a task plan or is there not? Does Seth need to go? I mean, we had talked about it. I had talked to Seth about it, and he was going to go to Kate and ask about making it happen. Is that still the best route based on what you heard today, Mark?
Yeah. Everything else is a jury rig.
Okay, should we continue the jury rig concepts that we've come up with for voting and run those by Wayne, just in case?
Yeah, and ask them if it's possible, and I'll the key in the survey is how many people have 2 devices, because if they only have 1 device that they can call in on, then they can't effectively participate. Everybody would have to have a computer and I guess if you had an iPad and a phone, you call in on the iPad and do the phone for the 800, but you would everyone would need 2 devices. And I don't know if everybody's got 2 devices.
Some people may actually have telephones, do you think?
Yeah, you could.
Anyway.
Probably a larger percentage of this body than nationwide.
Yes.
So, Mike, you and I will continue and document the kind of the kludge and the ideas and
yeah, we have to find out if they have TV 79 too, on cable, as a cable subscriber, and not do they watch it on YouTube?
On YouTube, because that's not going to work. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the state of the town, because I had to monitor YouTube and Facebook, and I think we were up to 60 that were watching on Facebook and YouTube at one point, and
that's surprising.
Why? As for too many or too few?
I was going to say it's too many, but then it's just easier to watch on your computer than to go watch on a TV, because you've got to go into it. In a lot of cases, go into a different room.
I think a lot of people are cutting their cords.
Are they?
Yeah.
We don't have cable. We don't have it.
You don't?
Nope.
Sadly, we do.
I don't.
I only take it to get the Patriot. I don't have cable. They make me take the basic 36 channels, so at least I can get channel 3 in Hartford to get the Patriot games, and then I'll cancel it when in 2 weeks when they're not playing on channel 3 anymore.
Hulu Live has it. We have
Who
Hulu
does?
Live. Yeah. Hulu Live.
Okay, so Mike, we'll continue to work on what what we've been putting together and try and document some of it so that we can put the pieces together for the rules meeting as best as we can, and we'll copy. Mac, if you could stay involved and let us know where things are going.
Sure, okay.
See, come after, I think that we should probably, from a rules meeting, get an update from David.
Sure.
We should know what it is at the rules meeting, and then obviously in January he's going to. I'm guessing he will be asked to talk to the RTM as part of the announcement, because we haven't done them in a while, and it'll be really important. But we're still going to have to do something at the rules.
But our goal has been not to endorse something, but just to lay out the options for the body to consider.
And we keep coming up with new ideas and getting new facts. So we keep trying and to see where it all plays out. But I think it's useful for all of us to stay on the same page, so we all know what's going on and throw ideas in when we can. And if you'd like, Mac, we can keep you involved.
Okay, I'm happy.
All right, great.
So.
Mark, do you have any questions or thoughts, or do we?
I'm smirking because I'm not really sure what the issue is with our current system. Here we are 19 months in.
The issue is some people want to be in person.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I like kicking this can to January. Let's see where things are. Things are spinning pretty quickly right now.
Yeah, but I think that understanding whether the push, whether 20 people or 30 people will show up out of 230 is really important to know, because if that's the case, then why bother? Why are we spending all this time on something?
Hopefully an accurate survey would come into play.
Yep, I hear you. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and I'll let you know what else I find out. But that was a shock to me, and I didn't even ask the question. The person volunteered the answer, and I was like, oh. I just assumed people were there, and it turns out very few people were there. So, so it was useful information, so we know how to go forward. Okay. Good. Then, with that, we're all going to continue, stay informed with each other. Probably Mike and I will continue pushing along some of these options and maybe even documenting them. And thoughts on, Mike, you'll draft the survey, and then we will stop and enjoy our holidays and have a wonderful Christmas and New Year's, and we can jump back into this after the New Year. So thank you so much. Anyone else?
March, you didn't want to schedule the game against the 2 football games on New Year's Eve, but I suggested we could wait till after the first of the year.
Ah, come on!
Even though Clemson wasn't playing.
They're not playing.
Yeah, but my Michigan Wolverines are in action. So
yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
Anyway,
it'd be a once in a lifetime.
What was the date of our last meeting? Can you help me out with what was the date of our last meeting?
I think it was October 24th.
All right. Yeah, we're good.
You found it?
There. I did because I remember sending them the first part.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. That'll be great. And we'll deal with it in January. What I'm expecting, so you won't be shocked when you see it, is to do a meeting that first week in January. So we're ready for the rules meeting on the 10th.
Okay.
Will you all be around that first week? I mean, we should probably just schedule it now. Do you want to do one night that week early on, or say you don't want to do it the first day, because I'm sure a lot of you are going to be reeling when you go back to work. You want to do it that Wednesday before?
Wednesday's good for me.
I teach on.
Oh, you teach on Wednesday. I forgot. Thursday?
I could do Tuesday or Thursday.
Tuesday would be better for me.
Okay.
Thursday the 6th.
I don't remember.
Tuesday the 4th or Thursday the 6th.
That worked, either one.
Tuesday. I really can't do a Thursday, but Tuesday would work.
Okay. I might make it 7:30 if that's okay with everybody. Okay, so Tuesday the 4th at 7:30. So we can follow up on these things and just be on the same page for what we're going to talk about in the rules meeting. Okay. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting and go celebrate? Okay, Mark. And second, Mike.
Second.
Thank you for
Thank
taking
you,
the
Lois.
time
Thank you. Thanks,
tonight.
Lois.
Have a
Thanks,
great
Mike.
holiday.
Thanks, Mark.